But first, I'm joined by Anna Manyara. Anna Manyara, who's the General Manager of Sales and Distribution at Liberty Life.
That's right.
Karibu sana,
Thank you for
Anna.
having me,
And we are discussing a very important issue. The other day, Charity Mwangi covered a story for us, and that was to do with old in the city, people who didn't necessarily have a retirement plan.
Right.
So how important is it to have a retirement plan?
Thank you for having me, Oliver. It is quite important to have a retirement plan, and I'll take two items in perspective. The first reason why you must have a retirement plan is because it enables you to meet your priority needs when you're in retirement. To bring it into perspective, what is retirement? It's really when you're no longer engaged in active employment or running of a business in order for you to get your income. So if you were working, you've stopped working. If you were running a business, you're not actively running the business for income. So I talked about the priority items. These are medical needs. When you're actively working and you're young, you have a medical cover through your employer, or you're able to afford medical cover from your income. When you're in retirement, first, medical cover becomes very expensive because you're older and your risk is higher of getting sick and getting hospitalized. You know, chronic illness come into play. So the biggest need when you're in retirement is to have a medical cover or good healthcare. And good healthcare includes local treatment and overseas treatment, which is quite costly. So that's the first thing that a retirement plan enables you to have. Good medical cover and obviously other needs. When you're in retirement, you want to serve the community, you want to spend time with family, that costs money because you're no longer having a salary and you have all this free time which you want to spend. The second thing why it's important to have a retirement plan is because it enables you to be consistent with your lifestyle now. So right now you're driving, you're living in the city, you're able to pay your bills. Will you be able to have a consistent lifestyle in retirement, or the same lifestyle, or near the same lifestyle that you had? So as a rule of thumb, we talk about having an income of about 75% of your current salary. So if you're earning 100,000 shillings when you're 52 and you're retiring at 55, you should be earning at least 75,000 shillings. Why 75% and not 100? Number one, we assume you will no longer be commuting into the city, so your fuel consumption is lower. We assume kids will be out of school, so you'll not be paying school fees. Three, we expect that your medical needs will be higher. So this 75% that's not being spent on fees and housing and transport then can go towards your medical needs and can go towards serving the community, whether you're serving the church, whether you're in an NGO where you're serving in a board and all of that. So two things really, Oliver. Number one, a consistent lifestyle that you had when you were actively working, to maintain that. And then secondly, to meet your priority needs when you're in retirement.
Okay, let's look at some of the numbers on that. In 2016, the Retirement Benefits Authority reported that the retirement savings rate in the country stood at 13%, which against the world average of 20%.
Correct.
And a report by the Capital Markets Authority indicates that Kenya's gross savings rate had dropped by almost half in 10 years, from 11.7% in 2007 and 6.2% in 2018. And in an effort to enhance the savings culture is, of course, sort of the effort that Liberty Life is putting in place, which is to raise awareness.
Right.
And so there are a number of important aspects in a person's life, including family, health, religion and finances. And for one to enjoy a fulfilling life, every aspect, as I see it, requires proper planning. So sort of like how you plan for your holiday, for your medical checkups, and now retirement. So what steps can we take towards achieving the 75% you're talking about?
So I'll talk about two steps. The first one is working out your net worth. So net worth is basically your assets, your income, less your expenses. So you arrive at your net worth. It is desired that you have a sufficient positive net worth. Once you find out what your net worth is now, it will determine what your net worth will be in retirement. Because the assumption is that you continue to earn income at the same level and your expenses continue to be at the same rate. Now, if your net worth is positive now, it means you need to continue what you're doing, but also better it because retirement is approaching. I think that's the first step. The second step is to determine what kind of a saver are you. Are you an erratic saver? Are you a consistent saver? Are you a regular saver, or do you need to some sort of professional advice in terms of establishing a regular way of saving? The third thing is that once you establish what your obligations are on a short-term basis, on a medium-term basis, on a long-term basis. So you talked about the priorities. So your short-term needs will range from school fees, will range from fuel, will range from rent and all of that. Your medium-term needs will range from a holiday, will range from maybe upgrading a car. But we're here really this morning to focus on your long-term needs, which is retirement. So the third thing you need to do as a saver is to then match your short-term needs, your medium-term needs, and your long-term needs with assets that speak into those sort of time frames or time horizons. So your short-term needs should be met by your salary. Your medium-term needs should be met by bank accounts, fixed bank accounts, unit trust savings. Your long-term needs should be met by a retirement account that you establish. The most important thing, Oliver, is to make sure that your short-term needs are not getting met by your long-term savings. So we've seen individuals who change jobs. You leave working for KCB, you go and work for Barclays Bank, for example. And instead of leaving your retirement account intact, you want to liquidate it so that you can buy a car. You know, that is disruption of your financial plan. Now, if you disrupt it, it will not achieve you the 75% that we were talking about in terms of an income replacement ratio when you're in retirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as things stand, a lot of people depend on their employer contributing a certain amount and then taking a certain percentage out of their pay.
Correct.
Yeah. So what efforts is the private sector pursuing in that regard, especially where the insurance industry is concerned, to ensure that Kenyans enjoy a decent retirement?
So, Oliver, you spoke about employers who make a contribution for employees towards retirement savings. Not every employer will do that. So some employers will put in 5%, 7.5%, and the employees will match it. But we have employers who do not have a budget for it. Now, what Liberty Life has done is to set up a very innovative retirement plan. We call it Boresha Maisha Retirement Plan, which, whether you're working, whether you're a consultant, whether you're a professional who's earning a salary or you're not, you're earning on the go. When you finish your consultancy and you get paid, you can save into it. So we've moved from purely operating on the traditional model that requires you to be on a salary to a model where you can save once a year, you can save once a month, once in every 2 months, once a week. So it's very flexible and innovative to cater for the people whose employer is not willing to set up a retirement plan. We're also working with employers who've set up retirement funds for employees so that whatever amount they're able to get in, employees also come and augment. We have situations where employees are contributing more than what the employer is contributing for them. So it's a debate and a conversation of coming to the table to enable the Kenyans that we serve to achieve their retirement goals, whether the employers are coming to assist them or they're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So finally, what are the key challenges that are faced when you're saving for retirement? And also, what lessons can we learn from the developed world?
I think, Oliver, the biggest challenge in our market is the fact that the law allows an individual to access their retirement savings through the journey or in the middle of the journey. So I mentioned to you, you leave one employer, you go to another. The law allows you to withdraw up to about 150% or 75% of your savings, which then disrupts your journey. So you encash it, you do something else, and you go and start once again. Because the process becomes volatile, you know, you're at 3 million this year, next year you're at 1.5 or you're at 1 million. It means your accumulated savings by the time you retire are not where they should have been. So what has Liberty done to counter that challenge? We've run a campaign for the last 4 years to consolidate benefits for you from one employer 1, employer 2, employer 3, employer 4. So we put this money for you in an individual retirement account, and we keep engaging with the customer to make sure that, is this where you wanted to be? Yes. Is this where you wanted to be? No. What do we do to bridge this gap? And this customer keeps saving on a monthly basis or on a regular basis to top up and get back to their goal. The second thing we've done in terms of meeting these challenges is you realize the challenge of the culture or the discipline of saving. Even you, Oliver, if you get a salary increase of say 100,000 shillings, there will always be a need. But how do we get Kenyans back to a disciplined way of saving? And I think borrowing from the UK, in the UK, retirees are not allowed to access their money until they reach retirement age. If you look at countries like Australia, Norway, Spain, there is mandatory and compulsory saving, up to 12% on a monthly basis. The NSSF in 2013 came up with, have implemented or changed the act to the effect that rather than having 200 shillings from the employee and employer, which comes to 400 shillings a month, they're changing it to one based on your salary and a percentage of your salary. So if you're earning 100,000 shillings, 12% goes towards NSSF savings. That is exactly what is happening in Australia. That's what we are borrowing from markets like Norway. So what has Liberty done? Even though NSSF has not yet implemented this change to the Act, we began 2-3 years ago, enabling employers who don't have a pension scheme to set up one. So we've set up for many employers retirement scheme saving at 12%, whether the employer is going to save or not. So that is a milestone that we have achieved in terms of meeting the challenges that are in the country.
All right. So thank you very much, Anna Manyara, who's the GM Sales and Distribution, Liberty Life. I hope we can engage you further in future.
Anytime.
But it was very informative, and thank you very much for that information. I definitely hope it was beneficial to you.